The First Amendment, Amendment I, to the United States Constitution prevents Congress from making laws respecting an establishment of religion, prohibiting the free exercise of religion, or abridging the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom of assembly, or the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. It was adopted on December 15, 1791, as one of the 10 amendments that constitute the Bill of Rights. In the original draft of the Bill of Rights, what is now the First Amendment occupied third place. The first 2 articles were not ratified by the states, so the article on disestablishment and free speech ended up being first. 1, 2. The Bill of Rights was proposed to assuage anti-federalist opposition to constitutional ratification. Initially, the First Amendment applied only to laws enacted by the Congress, and many of its provisions were interpreted more narrowly than they are today. Beginning with Gitlow v. New York, 1925, the Supreme Court applied the First Amendment to states, a process known as incorporation, through the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. In Everson v. Board of Education, 1947, the court drew on Thomas Jefferson's correspondence to call for a wall of separation between church and state, a literary but clarifying metaphor for the separation of religions from government and vice versa, as well as the free exercise of religious beliefs that many founders favored. Through decades of contentious litigation, the precise boundaries of the mandated separation have been adjudicated in ways that periodically created controversy. Speech rights were expanded significantly in a series of 20th and 21st century court decisions which protected various forms of political speech, anonymous speech, campaign finance, pornography, and school speech. These rulings also defined a series of exceptions to First Amendment protections. The Supreme Court overturned English common law precedent to increase the burden of proof for defamation and libel suits, most notably in New York Times Company v. Sullivan, 1964. Commercial speech, however, is less protected by the First Amendment than political speech, and is therefore subject to greater regulation. The Free Press Clause protects publication of information and opinions, and applies to a wide variety of media. In Neer v. Minnesota, 1931, and New York Times v. United States, 1971, the Supreme Court ruled that the First Amendment protected against prior restraint, pre-publication censorship, in almost all cases. The Petition Clause protects the right to petition all branches and agencies of government for action. In addition to the right of assembly guaranteed by this clause, the court has also ruled that the amendment implicitly protects freedom of association. Although the First Amendment applies only to state actors, A.3, there is a common misconception that it prohibits anyone from limiting free speech, including private, non-governmental entities.